have were late applicants. So, the first one is the Texarkana Baseball Association. Okay. And if you would, please start off and explain why your application was late.
Oh, yes, for certain. I will not ever ride around with it in my car again.
Do what?
Waiting to get, I said I will not ever ride around with it in my car again, waiting to get here.
Oh.
August is the busiest month for me, and this has turned into pretty much a one-man show as far as the ballpark. I think Adam can contest to that. But I also run the Texas High Athletics and TMS Athletics, and August is the busiest month. And I check the post office box probably twice a month in off-season. So had Adam not alerted me to the letter, I'd never even known it was there. And I wouldn't have got it turned in at all. So I do apologize for being late. We had a home football game. I could not leave work that day to get it here. I did email it Saturday. The very next day I scanned it over when I realized I still had it in my car.
Okay. I guess just go ahead and let's just take them. You have 3 requests, so let's take them one at a time. But I also want to say that the Texarkana Baseball Association is already getting $50,000.
Correct.
Is that correct?
That
Okay.
is correct.
Okay. So with that being said, go ahead.
Yes. 2 of my requests pertain to that $50,000.
Okay. Which ones?
1 and 2. One is the $17,000 that we pay in interest a year on the $350,000 loan, which the $50,000 a year goes towards. And the second request is to possibly contribute more. I said $50,000, we would take anything. Contribute more each year to get that loan paid off sooner, so that we are not paying so much in interest.
Okay, so let me back up for a second. So request number 1, the 17,000. Oh, I don't, mine is number 1.
Request number 1 is 50.
Well, I don't know, I'm looking at
Request
her,
number 2,
I'm looking at her packet where she has the pictures of these ball fields.
well, that's what I'm looking at.
50,000,
Mine says
17,000, and 200,000.
The first one in their books is the $50,000.
I didn't realize I had changed anything.
No, you can't change any, it's just the order.
It's just a-
Oh, okay.
I was looking at this page.
It's just that
Yeah,
one
that's
sheet.
what I'm looking at as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
Sorry.
So,
it's about halfway back in that first packet.
so the 17,000, I don't understand what that was for. It's part of the 50 that we're already paying? I didn't understand that.
No, last year you gave $17,000 to cover the interest of the loan,
Okay,
in addition to the funds that were given.
okay.
And I was requesting to continue getting money to cover that interest if possible.
All right. So explain for us what the 50 is for that we're already giving you.
To pay, okay, you couldn't give me $350,000 up front to build the new concession stand.
Right.
So we went to Commercial National Bank and obtained a loan.
It's a capital.
And y'all are paying $50,000 a year for 7 years on that $350,000 loan.
Right.
Which is accruing interest. And it's right at $4,000 quarterly.
Okay.
And so the $50,000 request is to hopefully pay off sooner if I could get an additional $50,000 a year. If not, if that is totally denied, the $17,000 to help cover that interest, which will decrease each year as we make a payment.
Just clarification on my part, so I completely understand when I'm trying to figure this all out. So this request is not for a new loan, it's to pay additional money on your current loan, and then the interest for that loan.
Correct.
Okay,
I didn't understand either.
okay, so that's what it's not a new
That was
loan.
I
It's just
Okay.
to increase the payment on the current loan along with the interest on the current loan. So she's basically asking for, instead of $50,000, she's asking for $117,000 to go toward the loan payment in 2022. In an effort to pay the loan off.
Quicker. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
So how much principal still owed on that?
$300,000.
Okay, so we've just made one payment on it.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I understood the whole $50,000 for the $350,000 concession stand.
Correct.
But I didn't understand the 17. I get the request number 2, the 50,000 is to go to the principal to bring that down.
Correct. Correct.
We should bring the interest.
And it would knock the interest down as well,
A lot.
yes.
Okay, I got you.
And then the third request is just capital improvements around the park. We, the World Series that we just hosted, that is in there as well. Kind of what was projected or what was brought in. Adam had helped me, or actually Adam set that up for me, as far as the number of players, spectators, and kind of what was brought into the city. We did not have, we had approximately right at $11,000 in donations and sponsors for a tournament that should have cost us about $75,000 to host. We did it as cheap as we possibly could. I had about 8 volunteers, and then Adam's guys from the city were the biggest contributors that I couldn't have pulled it off without them. But we had about 4,000 people a day going through the park on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It was bigger than I could have ever imagined, and it went off, I mean, without a hitch. There was no issues whatsoever. I mean, it was great. They all found their own place to park. Some of them parked on Nick's Trail where they shouldn't have, but everyone fit around that park, and it worked out very well. We hosted the opening ceremonies at Razorback Stadium.
And I know you have a lot of people that come to town because of the baseball, and it's not just the
Absolutely.
World Series, it's the whole season.
Yes.
And matter of fact, probably longer than a season, but,
Uh-huh.
so tell everybody, how many tournaments you host, how many events every weekend, more than every weekend.
Of course, we didn't do many in 2020 because we couldn't, but we'd host one tournament every other weekend, so 2 a month. And that's bringing people in from outside of town. And then we host 3 of our own just here with people in town to bring in. And Texas side is wanting to work with us to make it a citywide tournament, to bring in bigger tournaments. I have another tournament director who's also wanting what am I trying to say? The fields on the weekends that the current one is not using it. So we have the opportunity to have the park and the city packed out every weekend. It would be, I would need about 10 of me.
I was gonna
Because
say,
it requires me to be there the entire weekend, and I kind of like a break occasionally. But we do have the opportunity to bring in a lot more money. And some of this $200,000 is enlarging fields. We currently have 2 fields that are too small for the older age groups. The fences need to be moved back. And those age groups, we have to send either to Texas side, we have to send them to Ashdown, or they even go to Hobo sometimes. So if we could bring in more teams and bigger tournaments, but we're turning people away because we don't have the size fields that they want.
What's typically your start and stop season?
We typically start at the end of February and run until the end of July. If I could get more help, we could run through the fall season as well. As of right now, we push that off on the Texas side, and they just do local teams only. They're not bringing in out-of-town teams. But we could definitely open it up and bring out-of-town people in during the fall.
What's the pecking order of your wish list here?
Enlarging the fields is I kind of got it in order of what I think it needs the most. Enlarging the fields so that we can host more. The foul line fencing on most all of the fields on the north end have been caught by mowers or people not, it was just cheap fencing that was put up, and so it's gapped and got holes in some, coming down in some areas, so it needs to be replaced. And just fencing around the outside of the park. The 2 new fields that we constructed in 2016, the bleachers are not covered. I don't know if anyone made it out there during the World Series, but it looked like tent city around those 2 fields. You couldn't even see the players because everyone had pop-up tents. There was no cover at all. And then the additional, I put on here to add lights. Of course, Adam kind of gave you a preview of how much a pole cost. We can't do that with just $200,000, so I'm hoping maybe we can add some additional lights to the poles that are already there. But those fields were enlarged at one time, so when we pushed the fence back, it made the outfield larger, and there's only lights on the corners that were for, 50 foot in. So it gets really dark, and it's dangerous with the kids playing at night out there. But adding on to the mower shed, that's just because we are purchasing a new mower with the funds that we raised. We are also replacing the backstop netting with the funds that we raised from the tournament. The bathroom floors, we can handle that. And the camera on the south concession, that's really, I think it would help the city more than it would benefit me, but that would cover that parking lot and part of Nick's Trail down there.
So can you get us a breakdown of the cost for each one of these
Just an approximate.
Sure.
under request number 3?
Sure,
For the
can.
200,000?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Before next week?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I was just thinking, as a formality, did we need to vote to hear that?
Oh, well,
No, because it was at the workshop.
Yeah.
At the meeting, you'll actually have to vote.
Vote
hear
to
the
add that on,
resolution.
okay.
okay, thanks.
I just didn't want to get in trouble.
No, I don't think, since it's a workshop,
Okay.
there is no votes or anything, so we'll be okay.
PF 16?
Still not there. There.
We ready?
Yeah.
We are peak fighting. My name is Brian Poe. This is Johnny Ross. As far as why we are late, I can make something up, or I can be honest.
Be honest.
I should have been listening to Tyronda instead of this idiot.
Yeah, we try to be smart.
Peak fighting, we are an MMA promotion. This is not a tough man contest. It's not a sideshow. It is legit. The best way I can explain it is it's the UFC on just a much smaller regional scale. I mean, the UFC fighters at that level, they have to come from somewhere.
We just had 2 on the Contender Series last week on ESPN. So.
2 of our previous fighters. We hold events in Arkansas, Hot Springs, Little Rock, Springdale, primarily Texarkana. That's where we're both from. It's just easier. We have, we can pack a hotel out. We bring people from the surrounding area as well as family, friends,
Yeah,
coaches, teammates of the fighters that we have come in from Houston, California, Dallas, Fort Worth.
those receipts on the hotels, that's just what we pay. That's not their we don't pay for the family rooms. We only pay for the fighters' rooms and people associated with them. Not their mom, their brother, their sister, their grandma. So I don't,
Matter of fact, I think most of the hotels over near
Yeah.
where we house our fighters and the
just
coaches
slam.
get spillover, actually, even
All right.
from our
They
events.
absorb that cost.
Yeah, and then like restaurants and stuff like that. Everything we do, also, we're moving our merchandise back to Arkansas. We're working with a lady in Arkansas. We buy our canvas that costs more money. We actually we get the decals and stuff done at American Signs and Banners instead of going cheaper and going out to California. We do it, everything we do, we try to do it in Arkansas. We could get a better hotel rate in Texas, as of right now. And we're not fighting at the convention center anymore. We're moved downtown to the hideout, so there's no real need to stay there, but we decided to stay. We moved to the Hampton, but we are staying in Arkansas still. Everything we do, we try to do it in Arkansas. The most we can, obviously, we can't, everything can't be done, but our fights are in Arkansas. And a lot of that stuff, we got, people coming from Belize, like they've already booked their hotels, they
Mexico.
bought their tickets, Mexico, Brazil, he got hurt.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I've seen the posters down.
Yes, ma'am.
And I've seen those, and this money would be for events that would happen after January.
Yeah,
Well, that's my mistake. I wasn't
yeah.
100%. And when I did this, what you're looking at, I misunderstood and did it in those monies, those approximate dollar amounts, that's for one event.
One event.
And we hold about 4 here a year.
We'll hold 4 this year in Texarkana.
That was one of my questions.
Yes,
was-
sir.
Because it's
We're holding, the next one's January 22nd, so this was
hung up at some
January
court.
22nd, and then we head to Springdale in March. And we'll work on dates, maybe April, May here, and then minimum 4 events will happen in Texarkana this year. So I did screw that up also, I apologize. And we use the Texarkana airport. We do fly fighters directly to Texarkana, we don't fly them to Dallas. Well, they fly to Dallas down here. I don't know what else. There was something else I was gonna tell you, it's so amazing. I forgot.
All right. Again, I'm not sure some of the things that you're asking for qualifies. You know, the advertising, of course, would.
Is that mine?
That's yours. I've written on mine.
And our events are, I mean, they span the entire weekend. I mean, the
Yeah.
fighters and coaches literally have to come in
Thursday.
on Thursday to do
Wednesday.
weigh-ins.
Yeah.
The state commission comes in from Little Rock and does the official weigh-ins on Friday. So they're here for the whole, it's not just they're in here for Saturday night and then they leave. No, it's the whole weekend.
So I haven't been to the hideout yet. So how many people does it hold?
We're selling for 460 people.
465.
465, sorry. But that's not including the fighters. The fighters will be housed upstairs.
The commission,
The
any of our
commission, all
staff.
that's not, we don't count that.
It's probably not much more than that. I said the fire department probably wouldn't allow much.
Oh,
more
their
than that.
capacity's way more than that.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
Because it
haven't-
goes off every floor, but yeah,
Oh,
I see what you're
gotcha.
saying. The bar is just so big, it takes up a lot of floor space, so we've limited to 465. Just to be safe, we've actually started setting up chairs, there is room to put more chairs, but
Okay.
it's just not. It's just not.
So
This is our first
First
fight
time
at the
here, we've
hideout, so
always-
after this, for January's event, we could
We'll
possibly
know.
adjust it.
So the 4,500 in advertising, is that for all year?
No, sir.
That's for one
an
time?
event. That's what we screwed up.
This for one is.
Yeah, with that, this is expenses for one event. And I heard you guys saying something about your logo being on stuff, we
Yeah,
would,
so-
you'd put it like on a poster or something.
I don't know why that's a surprise to everybody, because it's in the application packet where it says if we give people money for advertising, and they're supposed to use their logo, so,
Where would you
And-
guys, where would that
so
go?
it goes, so for example, on your, if you have flyers, then
So
it
like
goes
posters.
Or a
on your
poster,
posters,
yeah,
and it
just
goes
so
on
we
your
put
posters.
around the
where you put your-
restaurants.
Or
and
did you,
stuff,
Where you put your
Instagram
sponsors,
and
or yeah,
Facebook.
Facebook, or if you're on the
But
radio.
not the can, not the floor. Okay.
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
Anything else? Nope, okay, thanks, guys.
Thanks.
All right, the ultimate challenge,
Where's the bull rider? Oh, he
Bull-
just said calling.
He's told me to call,
for what?
so he can answer
We had a
questions. He's on
question.
the road driving.
Who's next? I'm skipping him. Mr. Ellington?
You've got 2 with you, you have one for the arts in historic district, and you have one for the city of Texarkana.
Hi, guys, I'll make mine short. We're getting to the end of the night, hopefully. Mine was generated by a an after the deadline donation to the city for improvements to the stage area on Front Street. So our decision was to create a capital project on the city side and ask you to help us with the funding for that over a term period. So I don't have a good breakout yet, Brandon, but I'll get that to you. And the actual cost, the early estimate was $400,000 for this project. And it would consist of the stage cover itself, some way to deal with our restroom issue in that area as well for events, and some landscape and kind of control improvements of that environment. So that's the general concept now. We'll be kind of legging that out. And we're not in a hurry for you to make a decision about this for us. But our concept was that we would go out and do a city-backed loan, and in turn, you could help us pay back over a term as well. Again, this is all on city-owned property. It is on park-designated land, and I think eligible in your criteria as well. So I'm glad to answer any questions.
Sure, Mr. Ellington, let me ask you this. Seems like a pretty big, fairly big or relatively big project that you're wanting to take on there.
Yes, sir.
And I know you said you don't have, all the numbers and everything, and they're still kind of coming in. How would you feel and would the commission feel if we kind of punted this to January to let you get some hard numbers and kind of go from there?
I got no problem pushing it off a while for y'all.
Taron, is that our next meeting is January?
Yes, our next meeting is January.
How do y'all feel about that?
That's a good idea.
Sounds good.
Okay, then we'll do that, okay?
You bet. Thank you.
I don't want, hey, Mr. Ellington, the grant that you got, or the sponsorship, I don't know, whatever you're calling it, is there a time limit on that seed money? Do you need to use it within a certain amount of time? Okay,
Those are just designated for that purpose.
okay, thank you. Okay, and, Channel 3. Not really Channel 3, but.
Well, I know, but that's what it says at the top on mine, so.
I'm Jamie Finley, and it's actually the Arts and Historic District Committee. And we were late because our committee consists of about 7 different organizations, and we were waiting on the pricing from Channel 3, from KTBS, and we did not get that pricing back in time to coordinate with everybody. So the Arts and Historic District Committee is tasked with making downtown Texarkana a tourism destination. And what we are asking for, I will keep it short because I know everybody's ready to go home. What we are asking for is $6,000, which would partially fund a media buy with KTBS, Channel 3 out of Shreveport. And the main component of that media buy would be their Skycam, which, if you've watched their news channel, is run every night. And it would be mounted on the top of the grim and focused on the courthouse, and the new courthouse project, which you guys graciously funded part of last year, which we finished. So that would be the main component of it. It also comes with a community caravan 1 week a year, which is where they come to town and they visit different places in town. At the end of the week, they have lunch at a restaurant and have a city hall kind of thing. A First Cup, there's Spirit of Christmas, and then there's numerous other advertising opportunities. And the plan is that going forward, we would sell those opportunities and this would fund itself. So this would just be, hopefully this would be the initial year that we needed help with it, and then going forward it would fund itself. The actual package is $24,000. Farmers Bank and Trust is funding half of that. The city of Texarkana, Texas is funding a quarter of it, and then this $6,000 would be the other quarter of it. They cover 27 counties and parishes in the Arklatex region, over 320,000 households that they reach. And if you do the math, if I did the math right, if we can capture just 0.5% of those households and they spend $200 each when they come to town once a year, that's over $320,000 back in revenue, which obviously is a great return on our investment. And then those dollars get turned over, obviously, in the economy, so.
So I'm a little confused.
Okay.
But also, I didn't get this until today, so I haven't had a chance to look at it, so, uh, you probably said this, but what is the $6,000 for? A media buy, but
Okay.
is it to have your little square up in the corner of the TV, or what is
Okay.
it?
Here is, I don't know if you have this type or not.
I do not.
Okay, let me give you that. This is what, oh, this is not, there we go. That is what.
I have that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
That is
So, but like
what is
what-
included in the $24,000 package.
So, but would we get a quarter of this? I mean, or I don't know what this means.
So quarter of it would be, or we're asking for a quarter from you guys. The city of Texarkana, Texas is covering a quarter, and the half is covered by.
I got that part. I don't understand what community caravan,
Okay, so some of these are.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah, we're good.
Okay,
We're fine right here.
okay.
Okay, so, yeah, so, I'm sorry, what was the question again?
I'm sorry. I
No, you're
interrupted.
fine,
I had a
you're
little
fine.
startled.
There's,
I'm good.
but what they're getting at, there's been an incident outside at Zapata's involving law enforcement and a
Okay.
shooting situation. So when you exit the building, you may see a lot of police officers and things like that, but the situation is under control right now.
Okay.
Do we need to go lock downstairs?
We're fine.
We're okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Where were we?
I was
What
asking
does
what,
that $6,000 get?
yeah.
Okay, yes, so.
That's where we were.
So, as she said, the Skycam, will focus, well, you guys have seen what the Skycam.
I get that it focuses on the
Right.
price.
But the ads would rotate between Farmers Bank, the city of Texarkana, Arkansas, and city of Texarkana, Texas. Oh, and the Arkansas Historic District would probably be the portion on the Texas side.
When you say the ad, the little thing up in the
Sure,
corner of
right.
the TV,
Yes.
and it appears how many times?
And then, I'm sorry.
That's what I don't
A
get.
question did come up, sorry, that you said the First Cup and Community Caravan. So I currently oversee the farmers market on the Texas side, and we have done these advertisements with KCBS, and this will have an anchor come down and do interviews and things of that nature on the First Cup. So they were able to come and do some special coverage on our salsa contest just this last year. We plan on continuing to do that, as well as having interviews and things of that nature that will broadcast on their news programming. So it's a lot of the way I've looked at it, and the success that we've seen with the farmers market specifically has just been a lot of community kind of outreach and interviews on our behalf, and being able to encourage people to come and visit. In that case, the farmers market, but this case would be for the entire Arkansas Historic District.
Okay. Any other questions? I'm sorry. I still don't know the answers to the ones I asked. So.
I think what he was
maybe what you're getting at is it's a total of 24,000, so our 6,000 if we were, how does that break down of all this stuff that's on here?
God, I still don't understand. I understand it's $6,000, but I don't understand any of this other stuff that's on this sheet. Maybe I'm just being stupid, but
Like the community care,
been
it
there
says 2,000, so we would have a third or a fourth of that,
Right,
and so anything on it, we'd get a fourth of.
right.
I'm too tired.
is that it? I don't have anything else.
If you can, maybe you can ask him tomorrow. Ask him,
Yeah.
send him an email.
Get a fresh brand, you know.
Where did you see that in here?
They're not, they gotta give it to
All
us.
these together.
Like before we got here
Put them all
today?
together. I have a team of people that put everything
Yeah, no, it ain't
together,
in here.
so I'm not solely responsible, but before y'all leave, once again, Miss Fair is here, if y'all wanna hear anything from her.
Who's here?
Miss Barr from Forest State Fair.
Oh,
Okay, well, come on.
I do apologize for being late. I had the date wrong in my calendar, so I had it scheduled for tomorrow.
Do you have anything besides what you put in the packet?
No.
Okay,
that's
what
everything.
you put in the packet doesn't qualify because it's a capital improvement and it's not on city properties. So we can't fund that.
Okay. I didn't realize that. Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
I'm sorry that wasn't communicated to you. I don't know, I thought it was.
It's just one of the changes, so I wasn't aware of that. All right,
Okay.
thank you.
because that one came in to me long ago.
Yeah.
That's yours.
Okay, is there anything else that we need to discuss? No?
Trying to figure out what's going on real
All right, then it's not really a meeting still, but we're adjourned, I guess.
So next week, we're starting at 4:30?
We're starting at 4:30, everyone has a 5-minute time slot. Lena has sent out,